right. Hello, my beauties and bees. Who is ready to get weird with it? Really weird with it today because we have a a strange little pathway. Now, I've talked about out of place artifacts or upas or whatever they want to call them before on this channel. My favorites have always been the Ica stones, which were obviously fabricated, and you've got even explained how he, yeah, I play banjo. You've heard me play banjo before, haven't you, John? Well, anyway, so, I decided to look for some more cool artifacts, and found this channel, which I thought was pretty out there, and I think you guys will get a kick out of this. Guy's name's Zachary Denham. He's about the same size as me. His channel, or no, never mind. He's way bigger than I am. I was gonna say I thought that 1.2K was his channel subscribers. It's way bigger than me. 70K. So this guy has 70K viewers while putting out this stuff. Postcards from Tartaria, Operation High Jump, Breakaway Civilizations, Lunar Artifacts, European Witchcraft, which we may come back and visit because it's the season of the witch, Fairy Pools in the Sky. But today, what drugged me here was I was looking for some information on this orphan train conspiracy. I didn't find it, the one I was looking for, but I did find, well, the one we're going to cover today, and that's these cool little dinosaur figurines that they allegedly found in Mexico. But let's dive right in. Some hidden history.
Welcome everyone, I hope you are well. In today's episode we will be discussing dinosaur relics and the Acambaro figures. We have been consistently told in Western science that dinosaurs perished in a worldwide disaster around 64 million BC. But the so-called theory of evolution is simply a postulated concept and nothing more. Because so much time, effort and money has been spent on propagating the deceptions which define.
To what ends, my dude? To what ends are we profiting off of the concept of evolution and dinosaurs being a thing and history being real? Because this is the channel where they think the Dark Ages were not real.
The theory of evolution, most academics, whether they are paleontologists or anthropologists, cannot allow their postulated theory of evolution to be exposed as just another bogus and questionable theory of Western science. The contemporary understanding about the Acambaro figures began with a merchant and field archaeologist from the city of Brenum in northern Germany, named Waldemar Josrid, also known as Waldemar Robert Ludwig Josrid Walden. On the 26th of July 1944, Waldemar Josrid was riding his horse along the perimeter around the Bull Hill in a dried out part of Bull Stream that is a small tributary of the Lima River of the Acambaro, which is located in an area of southeastern Guanajuato within central Mexico. Whilst he was there, Waldemar noticed of Mexico, an area of southeastern Guanajuato, which stream that is a small tributary hill in a dried out part of Bull Stream that is a small tributary of the Lima River of the Acambaro, which is located in an area of southeastern Guanajuato within central Mexico. Whilst he was there, Waldemar noticed parts of clay objects sticking out of the dirt and dust. Over time, he then collected over 33,000 ceramic figurines. Professor Charles Hutchins Hapgood from...
So I'm trying to find this dig site location. You're making me want to go grab a banjo. So, the Lima River, Mexico. Is there a Lima River in Mexico? I'm sorry, I get hung up on locations and maps and stuff, so you'll have to forgive me.
Before Waldemar Jolsfred was riding his horse along the perimeter around the Bull Hill in a dried out part of Bull Stream. That is a small tributary of
Bull Stream
of the Lima River of the Acambaro, which is
Lima River or Acambaro. Okay, let me see if we can locate that. Lima River, Acambaro. The Lima River. Oh, Lerma. Lerma, not Lima. Okay. Well, let's try that. And see where that takes us. Let's see if we can't get to the headwater. Okay. So, let's look. Here's the Lerma River. It's this river right here. But it's a pretty long river. Rivers are long, though. We'll follow it up to its source and see. Because boy, oh boy, it's going all over the place. It's winding as rivers are wont to do. Let's see. Lerma. I'm still looking here. Don't worry. We're going to dig in. Lerma River. And you said Bull. The Lerma River. I think that's the same map he showed earlier. It is. Showing where that river flows. How it flows up and out of the region. All right. I'm not going to get too hung up on this, though. Let's continue on.
He's located in an area of southeastern Guanajuato within central Mexico. Whilst he was there, Waldemar noticed
I don't know if that was his attempt to say Guadalajara. Is that what we were attempting to say? But yeah, look at some of these figures.
Of clay objects sticking out of the dirt and dust. Over time, he then collected over 33,000 ceramic figurines. Professor Charles Hutchins Hapgood from Harvard University refuted the theory of evolution, and with fascination he visited Mexico to examine the Acambaro figures that Waldemar Jolsfred had found. Professor Hapgood also invited his close friend known as Erie Stanley Gardner, and because of his visit to Mexico, Erie Stanley Gardner then wrote a book in 1960.
It looks like his name's Earl, not Erie.
Called The Host with the Big Hat, which intricately mentions the Acambaro figures as he had a huge interest in the subject. Interestingly, Erie also wrote and created the fictional mainstream character Perry Mason, which were books, radio plays and films. During 1972, Professor Charles Hutchins Hapgood wrote and published a book called The Mystery of the
I'm the real Perry Mason, bitch.
Acambaro. Did the dinosaur survive until recently?
No.
Which concern the Acambaro figures which the merchant and field archaeologist Waldemar Jolsfred had discovered in central Mexico. So what do the Acambaro figures reveal about the theory of evolution and the history of the dinosaurs?
Why did it show a rocket ship and start talking about dinosaurs? That's a rocket ship, right? That's someone trying to make a clay figurine of a guy in a rocket. Like there's his head curled up and everything.
About the theory of evolution and the history of the dinosaurs. As a trained and qualified historian, Charles Hutchins Hapgood knew of the need for the date of the Acambaro figures, So by utilizing the most up-to-date methods, on the 15th of October 1968, Charles Hapgood submitted 3 samples to Isotopes Incorporated of Westwood in Bergen County, northeastern New Jersey, for C14 radiocarbon dating. The first sample came back as 3,590 years old. The second sample was 6,480.
What are you showing us here? And then this is supposed to just be stock, like laboratory stock footage, but that was like organisms.
590 years old. The second sample was 6,480 years old. The third was 3,060 years old. To be thorough, Charles Hapgood also submitted 4 samples to the University of Pennsylvania Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology, commonly known as the Penn Museum, for dating with thermoluminescence, a more accurate way to date pottery. Each of the 4 samples came up with a date of 2,500 BC, plus or minus 190 years.
Before I get too far into this, also, since I see a tapioca weasel in my live chat, I did want to say that Charles Hapgood, you might remember him from your all's coverage previously. He's the pole shift guy, the Atlantean Age, Lost Continent of Mood pole shift guy. Charles Hapgood. Basically famous for his woo. Is what he's famous for. I mean, here's the segment on these figurines, but yeah, he's the pole shift guy, pseudoscience, catastrophist, lost city of Atlantis, and all that goodness.
Dr. Froelich Glanston Rainey, realizing the importance of accuracy in the C14 radiocarbon dating of these pieces, did runs on each of the 4 samples and came up with exactly the same results. So from this research, it would suggest that dinosaurs could have existed less than 5,000 years ago, or a lot less.
No, even if these figurines were from actual art, were actual artifacts from an ancient people, they're not. Even if they were, that wouldn't mean dinosaurs live with man. It would mean these were some kind of weird chimeric animals that they were making, because the dinosaurs that they made are 1950s children's book dinosaurs that are not accurate. They're anachronistic, right? They drag their tails. They have kangaroo postures.
Less than 64 million years ago. The various kinds of Acambaro figures had the appearance of lagartos.
Oh my gosh, yes, Brian, exactly. You do not carbon date rocks or clay. You can't carbon date it.
Grandes, or great lizards, that are called dinosaurs or terrible lizards, which among the local Mexicans...
And these look like the dinosaurs that I used to make with my Play-Doh when I was a kid. Did you see that? See that pinched off Stegosaurus? That is how I used to make Stegosauruses when I was a kid. But now I know the Stegosaurus isn't actually... Its body isn't actually constructed this way. It isn't actually proportioned that way. It's not just a vaguely cow-like shape with a long tail and a spiky back, like a child or children's book would have you think.
Dinosaurs or terrible lizards, which among the local Mexicans become known as the figuras lagarto acambaro, or celebrated lizard figures.
Legato? You said the cat.
Figuras lagarto, which among the local Mexicans become known as the figuras lagarto acambaro, or celebrated lizard figures.
Figuras lagarto acambaro. Okay.
Some of the figuritas acambaro, or celebrated place figurines, clearly appeared to be a species of dinosaurs, which include
nothing about. I know you
place figurines clearly appear.
I know you want that to look like it's a dinosaur, but dinosaurs didn't actually look like that. This looks closer to a monitor lizard than it does to an iguana, not an iguana. Looks closer to a monitor lizard than it does to a dinosaur. looks closer to a freaking giant river otter than it does to a dinosaur.
To be a species of dinosaurs, which included the Patasaurus, the Stegosaurus, the Iguanodon, the Nodosaurus, the Ankylosaurus, and
that
the
last one was not a dinosaur. Hold on.
Stegosaurus, the
That's not a Stegosaurus.
Iguanodon, the Nodosaurus.
That isn't a Iguanodon, and that might be a Nodosaurus.
The Ankylosaurus,
That last one, though.
the Stegosaurus, the Iguanodon, the Nodosaurus,
That one is not a dinosaur. That is a crocodiliform, a Triassic mega carnivore that kind of ruled the world and before dinosaurs started to take over. These were giant hyperpredatory bipedal crocodiles, filled the same niche, and they were huge. They were as big as grizzly bears.
Ankylosaurus, and the Triceratops. Other kinds of figurines showed humanoids.
Look at that, yeah. So if those figures are proof that dinosaurs existed, then this one is proof that the goblins of Moria are real.
Appeared
and they have penises.
To be extraterrestrials that were standing next to flying discs. Many of the Acambaro figures display humans riding or wrestling various races with dinosaurs.
Look at that. Yeah, that's supposed to be a Triceratops, or is that supposed to be a giant chameleon? Because Triceratops didn't have legs out to their side, their legs would be underneath.
Of course, representations of these dinosaurs in prehistoric artwork were unheard of because Homo sapiens apparently never coexisted with the different species of dinosaurs.
But we sure as hell found some of their fossils. I mean, in Chinese medicine, they were grinding up their fossils as dragon bones, right? In Europe, they were taking fossilized things like, I know in a German town there was a rhino skull, not a dinosaur, but megafauna skull that they worshipped as a dragon, or the dragon. I think they thought it was the dragon that St. George killed, and it was a prehistoric rhinoceros skull. So yeah, people did find skeletons and fossils and imprints of megafauna from the past, and they did depict it in their art in some places, no doubt. But this ain't that, bro. This ain't that. If you look at these figurines, they're clearly based on like a early 20th or late 19th to early 20th century depiction of Dinosauria.
According to the academics from Western science. The unusual looking Acambaro figures, which for many years have been literally...
That one looks like a hot dog with mustard on it. Look at that. Got some mustard on the belly. Yeah, these aren't the dinosaurs. These are the aliens, I guess.
Created and not available for examinations are now on display for all to observe at the Waldemar Jolsrid Museum in the city of Acambaro, Mexico. So why doesn't the Smithsonian Institution from Washington not send teams of academics to Mexico to do further analysis of the Acambaro figures? Waldemar Robert Ludwig Jolsrid Walden was already familiar with Mesoamerican ceramics, as he had one of the largest collection of artifacts from the famous religious worship site known as Chupacaro, or Blue Place, of the Purepecha tribe. For some of the...
Chupacuaro, not Chupacabro. No, it's not named after the goat sucker.
Spanish conquistadors and the Catholic Spaniards, these individuals were defined with the derogatory term of Indios Tarascanos, or the Tarascan Indians. Whilst he was not selling hardware, Waldemar Jolsrid was excavating or acquiring pieces for his collection, and over the years Waldemar became quite the archaeologist. Just after he had discovered the Acambaro...
Sounds like he's like really easily duped into believing that that modern replicas are authentic. A lot of black market archaeologists are subject to being duped that way. Look at the old Hobby Lobby with the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Figures on the 26th of July 1944, Waldemar Jolsrid asked his employer, who was a local farmer named Odilon Tinajero, if he could find more of the Acambaro figures for him. Waldemar would pay Odilon Tinajero exactly 1 piso for each Acambaro figurine brought to him intact or with pieces that were easily put together.
My Spanish is terrible. I don't want to correct his Spanish or be too hard on his Spanish, besides the chupacabra thing. That was just funny. But yeah, as far as I know, azul means blue. I don't know if there's other shades of blue that have different words for them. Like, I don't know if there's a special word for like turquoise or like midnight blue or anything like that. No, the Smithsonian is the name brand. The Wish.com generic museum adult archaeological filmmaker is Smithsonian. Sweet little hot dog deity man. Yeah, he's the like. Remember the little cartoon food that would dance at the beginning of the movie theater? The little box of popcorn, and there'd be a hot dog and maybe some candies and stuff dancing and singing, "Let's go out to the lobby." That's what that reminded me of.
Began his collection, and over 5 to 6 years, Waldemar Jolsrid gathered over 35,900 of these bizarre Acambaro figurines. On the 18th of June 1947, figurine 5 to 6 years easily put together. This then began his collection, and over 5 to 6 years easily put Acambaro figurine brought to him intact.
So let's keep track of this, because this is the same thing that happened with the Ica stones, right? We have a guy saying, "Hey, I will pay you to bring me these Mesoamerican looking clay dinosaur figurines and aliens and stuff. If you can bring them to me, I'll pay you for them." So he literally jump started an industry making these,
or with pieces that were easily put together. This then began his collection, and over 5 to 6 years, Waldemar Jolsrid gathered over 35,900 of these bizarre Acambaro figurines.
I bet he
On
did.
the 18th of June,
you tell a bunch of poor farmer folk that they can get paid, that you'll pay them to make some Mesoamerican clay figurines that look like they're like the ancient American people made them. They're gonna do it, right? This reminds me of that scene in, what's that movie with Adam Sandler where he tells a little Mexican girl on the beach that she brings him this shell, he'll give her like $1 a piece for him or whatever, and she brings him like 6,000 of them.
June 1947, when Waldemar Jolsrid publishes a booklet on his discoveries called The Enigmas del Pasado, or The Riddles of the Past, the various Acambaro figures began to receive international attention. On Sunday the 25th of March 1951, Lau Judith Ronda Harmer, a veteran writer...
But you have to remember, at this time they still thought dinosaurs dragged their tails and did the kangaroo postures and stuff like that, had their legs splayed out. Well, the scientists didn't. The journalist did.
For the Los Angeles Times, published an article titled "Mexico Finds Give Hint of Lost World. Dinosaur statues point to men who lived in the age of reptiles." Lau Judith Ronda Harmer had visited the city of Acambaro on the 25th of March 1951 and describes in his article the sheer volume of the collection in the house of Waldemar Jolsrid. He wrote that the Acambaro figures filled the floor, the tables and the wall cabinets to overflowing. The Los Angeles writer also wondered in his article, how could it be a hoax? Not even in Mexico, where money is so scarce, could anyone afford the labor of these thousands of statues?
They were paid for them. They were given money to make them. They were compensated for their labors. So that's how they could afford to do it. I love the one in the middle that looks like the dead hand before it comes up out of the ground from OOT. The narrator has slaughtered many languages. This is true. So there's a few that are roughly dinosaur toy shaped amidst a lot of fantastical creatures and humanoid creatures, and that equals the Flintstones. Exactly.
At the low prices Jolsrud is paying. While seemingly convinced of their authenticity as an objective writer, Lau Judith Rondahama finished...
What do you mean low prices? That's why we send labor to Mexico, is because of the low prices that you can charge for labor. So no, I don't think that's an issue here, and I don't think that. Well, I hopefully you guys are with me in the fact that this doesn't prove that dinosaurs lived in Mexico with the Aztecs.
Off his article by saying, "I am a writer, not an archaeologist. It will be up to the experts to decide." The following year, on the 20th of April 1953, the Mexican government got involved in the Acambaro mystery. The Mexican government sent 4 archaeologists from the National Institute of Anthropology and the History of the Mexican
Now that would be a difference if they found a dinosaur skeleton with a person riding on its back. Maybe a man buried with his dinosaur mount, like a steed, like a royal funeral where he was buried with the dinosaur that he rode.
Government in Mexico City to investigate the situation. They set up an excavation site about 1.5 kilometers from the original discovery location of Waldemar Jolsrud, near the perimeter of the Bull Hill near to the Acambaro in central Mexico. They excavated a Pacific area 6.5 feet down and found dozens of Acambaro figures, similar to those of Waldemar Jolsrud, including numerous lizards that are called dinosaurs or
Why are they called dinosaurs? Who's calling them dinosaurs? No, you don't get to just be like, oh, when they're called dinosaurs. No, these obviously some of these were based on drawings or artistic depictions of dinosaurs. However, some of them have obvious artistic flair that was not included in any dinosaur art. Like, for instance, the swanny neck here with the spikes on the back and just in 2 legs. This is not a lizard-like creature. It's not a dinosaur-like creature. A dinosaur with just 2 legs? What are you talking about? Did its arms fall off? Maybe is it supposed to be a theropod? I don't know. What is this down here? It has big bat ears. That's not a dinosaur.
Lizards. The highly
That
conventional
looks like the possum-like depiction of pterosaurs from back in the
National Institute of
century.
Anthropology and History of the Mexican government then issued a statement that the Acambaro figures did correspond to the prehistoric civilizations of Chupacaro, or Blue Place, and could date to as early as 800 BC. They use C14 radiocarbon dating and thermoluminescence,
which would not work on the C14 dating would not work on clay figurines.
At least 22 times on the Acambaro figures, and
the thermoluminescence, though, that's specially for the clay.
Got no dating results that came through whatsoever. The site of Chupacaro, or Blue Place, is a famous religious worship site, and the name is derived from the Papicha language. The anciently founded Papicha tribe, who are likewise called the Western Highland Papicha, are likewise defined as the Indios Tarascanos, or the Tarascan Indians. However, this is a derogatory term which the Spanish conquistadors and Catholic Spaniards used to describe these individuals. The Papicha language is a linguistic and phonetic isolate that is spoken by 143,000 Papicha in the Michoacan state of central Mexico. The process of thermoluminescence is a form of brightness that is exhibited by the specific crystalline substance such as some minerals in clay. But
yeah, clay generally has some level of quartz in it. That's why some clay will sparkle for you. That's also why when you work clay really hard and to soften it up, it gets hot because you got all those little crystals grinding together, producing heat.
Because the crystalline substances absorb electromagnetic radiation, the process of thermoluminescence can be used to scan the previously accumulated electromagnetic radiation or other ionizing radiation, which continually become re-emitted as sequences of sparking brightness upon the heating of the crystalline substances. After the 31st of August 1954, archaeologists from the National Institute of Anthropology and the History of the Mexican government refused to carry out any excavations and would likewise refuse to issue permits for other archaeologists to make subsequent
That's a crime scene
excavations.
Investigation, not archaeology.
Why would the Mexican government do this? Surely if the various Acambaro figures of dinosaurs were part of some bizarre hoax, the Mexican government could therefore easily validate whether or not the Acambaro figures were authentic.
What good does it do for the government to debunk these figures? What benefit is that going to be to the government in Acambaro? What are they going to do? Right now, they got a museum display with thousands of these. Even if it's a hoax, they got a museum display with thousands of them. If they prove that they were baked in 1937, is that going to do them any good on their tourism dollar?
Or not. So why did they care? With some interest, the archaeologist known as Charles Corradino de Peso, who was employed at the Amerind Foundation, which preserves the culture of Native American tribes, was sent to examine the Acambaro figures. Charles Corradino de Peso published his highly questionable and dubious findings in the 1953 American Antiquity magazine, and also the magazine called Archaeology that was published by the Archaeological Institute of America. Charles Corradino de Peso deliberately went down to Mexico with a clear bias to intentionally expose the Acambaro figures as a purposeful hoax.
Hey now. Okay, so Charles Corradino de Peso is from St. Louis. Interesting. Was an American archaeologist, best known for his research in northern Mexico and the American Southwest. Let me just pull him up. The guy who they're disparaging right now. And let's see. De Peso's first field experience was at Acambaro, Colorado in 1937. De Peso's first work with the American Indian Foundation. De Pesos was established by the Mesoamerican merchants in order to... Yeah, I don't see any reason to think this guy is a fraudster. What's your problem, bro?
Although having the backing of the Amerind Foundation, Charles Peso made very unscientific claims because Charles Peso did not use any scientific methodology for his falsified results. For starters, Charles Peso only spent 2 days in Acambaro and only 4 hours examining the collection of 35,900 Acambaro figurines.
How long do you think an expert at curating Native American artifacts is going to need to identify a modern fraud from real artifacts? How long do you think that they'll need? Do you think 2 days and 4 hours isn't enough to say, hey, this is obviously an American requested piece of art that was paid for and based on modern depictions of dinosaurs and fantastical creatures.
He did not set up and conduct an excavation of his own and deliberately ignored every single anomalous segment of information.
That's the thing, too. The funniest part of this is the dino fossils from Mexico don't match the set they represent. Yeah, because you got like Triceratops and Tyrannosaurus rexes and things like that. And the Maastrichtian dinosaurs that are basically from like the Hell Creek Formation and into Canada and Alberta and stuff like that. Whereas Mexico, well, I guess in Mexico they did have we know they had Tyrannosaurus macranensis, but as far as the other dinosauria that's presented in these figurines, they're more based on the American dinosaurs than the ones that were actually found in Central and Mexico and Central America.
The last attempts to date the Acambaro figures happened on the 21st of October 1976. The physicist known as Gary Caraveau and the research chemist who was called Mark Sheng Hang also used the dating technique of the thermoluminescence on 20 of the Acambaro figures. All of the samples failed the plateau test, which indicated that dates obtained from these figurines using high temperature thermoluminescent dating processes were not reliable and lacked any relevance or significance. Based on the signal regeneration found in some of the samples, Gary Caraveau and Mark Hahn avidly estimated that the Acambaro figures were fired sometime in October 1938 or January 1942, with actually knowing the truth, but simply guessing what date
they were just simply guessing, even though they did all this high-tech imaging and use these special dating methods that are designed specifically for the substance that we're trying to get a date on, and prove that they were fake. And you don't like the data that they've come out with, so you want to disparage it. It doesn't matter. They're more qualified than you to make that assessment.
The Acambaro figures were produced. The claim of Gary Caraveau and Mark Hahn is utterly ludicrous, considering there were 35,900 Acambaro figures, no industrialized mass-scale production facilities or even kilns in most farmhouses near to Acambaro. There is no possible way that 7 or 8 farmers would have been able to spend 20 years producing over 35,000 Acambaro figures. The different methods that academics from Western science have used to immediately state the Acambaro figures are an elaborate hoax and ridiculous. So yet again, it does appear that a supervised cover-up of truth behind the Acambaro figures has been deliberately facilitated. But why did academics from Western science feel the need to prove that the Acambaro figures were a hoax?
Because that's how you do science. When something's fake, you find it and you say, hey, this is fake, this is bad science, let's keep it with good science so that people don't think that humans lived with dinosaurs a couple thousand years ago. That's why you want to debunk these silly little figurines.
Because if they already were fakes, why would anyone even bother to analyze them? So,
because you keep insisting that they're real. People like you keep insisting they're real. That's why we analyze them and say, hey.
It would seem from the research that if the truth of the Acambaro figures was truly revealed, it would completely alter and change the theory of evolution. And it would also...
Like Sumami says, some experts don't even need to see the piece. They just need to... They could read a description of it and debunk it. How it was found, where it was located, the way that it was preserved, the way it was constructed or found. They can, and sometimes they can look at a picture of it and say, hey, this is, not even the right shade of clay that they had available in this,
suggest that dinosaurs existed a lot less than 64 million years ago. and very
Not a dinosaur.
possibly within the last
Not a
5,000
dinosaur.
years, with humans living amongst them. So why are we constantly misled to the truth? Thank you for watching, everyone. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next week.
This was Copium. But I liked Zachary's channel. I did like the channel. He covers all kinds of wild stuff. Here's where we were looking. But like you got ancient aliens, geomagnetic ley lines. Dr. Tapioca Weasel, is the weasel still with us? Because geomagnetic ley lines are right here for you, babe. Yeah. But what do you guys think? What do you think about the figurines, about the dinosaurs and the aliens and the UFOs and all these figurines? Were they real? Were they fake? Were they made in the 1930s like science suggests? Or are they ancient relics like the woo-woo people suggest? Let me know in the comments down below. And please remember to be kind. Take care, and we will see you next time.
Summertime, tell the Hive, shake it, shake it. Time to waggle, do the waggle dance, find them flowers. Shake it, shake it. Waggle, 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 waggle. Honey time, tell the queen, shake it, shake it. Waggle dance and make a scene. Waggle, 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 waggle. You know you gotta when the sun is shining. Get the girls together for some nectar mining. Dripping off the cone is the way we shake it, shake it, shake it. Dancing out the path right before we take it. Summertime, tell the Hive, shake it, shake it. Time to waggle, do the waggle dance, find them flowers. Shake it, shake it. Waggle, 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 waggle. Honey time, tell the queen. You know you gotta when the sun is shining. Get the girls together for some neck.